Goff in drafts. Now, according to Adam Schefter, Detroit will also receive a third-round pick in 2021, a first-round pick in 2022, and a first-round pick in 2023. Speaking of Adam Schefter, Max, just let me say this quickly. I heard him on Get Up this morning, and this really jumped out to me. He said this season, 18 teams might change their quarterback. Unreal. But we'll focus on this specific trade here, Max. Is it right? It's ridiculous. Is this a good or bad trade for the Rams?
It's a bad trade for the Rams. Let me be very clear. Stafford makes them better right now. He's better than Goff. I'm not claiming Stafford's not better than Goff. Stephen A., I'll leave that to you. I'm talking about if I were a GM, would I make this trade? And you got to really put it in the context of what's going on with the Rams. I know the Rams feel like they can identify talent later in the draft. So they gave up firsts for Jalen Ramsey, and that worked out and all that. I get it. Who's their best player? Aaron Donald's their best player. You ain't going to find him in the second or third round. You get him with a first-round pick high up in the first round. That's where the all-time talents are. Donald is their best player. They're not going to find him later on. They used a first-round pick on him, high up. Now, look at this trade, guys, and put it in the context of what the Rams have done. Have they been a powerhouse? They have. It's worked out in the short run. But, guys, they just signed Jared Goff not that long ago to the deal. The number one overall pick in the draft, they wound up giving over $100 million to, and then they turn around and decide he's not good enough. It's not that he's awful. He's not Carson Wentz this year. He didn't get hurt to the extent that Dak Prescott did. He played, and he played okay, but they said, no, we're not going to win a Super Bowl with this guy. We need more. So your first overall pick in the draft, you paid over $100 million to in order to get out of that deal and bring in someone better. And Matthew Stafford is not an MVP caliber player. He's a good quarterback. He's not a great one, but he's a good one. You give up Goff, 2 firsts, and a third? Think of the draft capital you gave up for Ramsey. One of these guys are going to draft in the first round again. Stephen A., basically what this trade says is they have to win a Super Bowl. They got to win a Super Bowl, what, in the next 2 years? Or it's a disaster. Stafford is an upgrade. They gave up too much to get him.
You could say that. I get where you're coming from, and I don't blame you for that position, but I'm going to respectfully disagree. And the reason I'm going to disagree is because, number one, you have Sean McVay. He's 43 and 21 as a head coach in his 4 years in L.A. He's never had a losing season. He's taken them to the Super Bowl. He's won 67% of his games. He's proven that he kind of knows what he's doing. Now, has he been the boy wonder over the last couple of years that folks anticipated? No. But one of the reasons would be injuries. Todd Gurley comes to mind. Obviously, you've made some changes, but more importantly than that, clearly it was his relationship that had diminished and disintegrated before our very eyes with Jared Goff. And so if you are the Rams, and this is a guy that's an offensive-minded coach, and he's telling you he needs a quarterback, and I got a guy in Matthew Stafford, albeit injury-prone, but who's only 32 years of age and clearly better than Jared Goff, then I got to pay attention to that. I saw Aaron Rodgers the other day on Pat McAfee's show glowing about Matthew Stafford, number one. Number two, in terms of his no-look passes and his arm strength and being able to throw from any angle, et cetera, et cetera. We know that Matthew Stafford was mired in Detroit because in 12 years there, they had a losing record 8 times. He's only made the playoffs 3 times. His record, I think, as a starting quarterback wasn't that impressive, to say the least. And I think he's got like 282 touchdowns to like 144 interceptions. That's not even a 2-to-1 touchdown to turnover ratio, for crying out loud. So that's problematic. I get that. But we also look at how awful the Detroit Lions organization has been. And now he's been mired in football purgatory playing for them. So now he gets to go out to L.A. He gets to be in Tinseltown, being coached by a guy like Sean McVay with plenty of life left in him. I think when you talk about having a big-time quarterback, somebody that has the ability, rather, to be big-time, particularly if you're well coached and you act like you want to be there, I think there's something to be said for that. With him and Les Snead, a willingness to move to get rid of picks, because we gonna make our moves in free agencies, particularly via trades, and they've shown a willingness to do that, combined with the fact that you've got the top rated defense that is Super Bowl championship ready, with Aaron Donald on the line of scrimmage, with Jalen Ramsey in your secondary, I believe you got to send a message. You going for it. And if this is what it is, this is what it is. I really don't have a problem with it because I understand what they're saying. We ain't playing games. We're going for it. We believe in our coach. We believe in our defense. And because we believe in that, we think we're a quarterback away. When you believe that, you make a move like this. And that's why I don't have a real big problem with it.
It's going to be a good experiment because, as you said, the Detroit Lions have been among the worst organizations throughout Stafford's career. And we all know in the NFL, if you have a good coach and a good quarterback, you're in the playoffs more than you're not. And we know McVay's a good coach. And as you said, they have a great defense. And now they have a guy who we believe is a good quarterback. But when I say good, Stephen A., he's not Jay Cutler. He's not a guy where you saw the talent, but you're like, no, you don't want that guy as your quarterback. I don't think you could say that about Stafford. But I will say this. When I watch a guy like Justin Herbert, and I think, boy, this guy is going to be great. His floor is like Matt Stafford. If Herbert turns out to be Matthew Stafford, we'll be disappointed. And that tells you what you need to know. Stafford has that kind of talent.
I think that's a bit extreme.
Stafford's always had that kind of talent.
I think that's a bit extreme because of what we said about the Detroit Lions organization.
Okay, well, as I said, we'll find out with the Rams. But as of right now, based on the evidence we have, I believe Stafford is an elite, talented QB whose career has been good. He's been a good quarterback, not a great quarterback, in spite of that elite talent. The bet that the Rams are making here is we think we can win a Super Bowl now, next couple of seasons, with Matt Stafford. Well, they better be right because they're mortgaging their future to do it. They just signed Goff to the deal. They used an enormous amount of draft capital on him. First overall pick, doesn't get higher than that. They paid him as much money as anyone was getting paid at the time. It was right in line with the top of the market when they gave it to him. And now they're turning around, and to get out of it, they're including 2 firsts and a third to bring in a guy who we believe maybe has underachieved because of his organization. That's a bet they're making, and they better be right.
Well, listen, the bottom line is when you're talking about the quarterback position, if you look at Matthew Stafford and you can see him penciled in as your quarterback for the next 5 years, it's worth it. It's worth it. If you can see him as your quarterback for the next 5 years, the way he's capable of balling and how we know Sean McVay can coach, it's worth it for the quarterback.
Let me cap it by this. Max, you sort of alluded to this, but 2 years ago, Goff signed the largest contract in NFL history in terms of guaranteed money, 2 years removed from taking a team with the 20th ranked defense to the Super Bowl. A lot has changed as far as Matthew Stafford. He's never been in a winning situation. We'll see what he can do in LA. We'll leave it there, fellas. Plenty more to come here. First Take on a Monday. We got a huge week ahead, fellas, as we count down to Super Bowl 55 in Tampa. Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Devontae Smith, Jared Allen, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, Stephon Diggs, Nick Chubb. Do you need more star power? We're loaded. Plus a huge surprise you won't want to miss. Make sure you tune in all this week right here on First